Dear ladies and gentlemen, let me first thank the Confederation of Indian Textile Industry for this opportunity. And my congratulations goes also to the chairman, Mr. Raj Kumar, to Mr. Sanjay Jain, the chairman of the organizing committee, and to Secretary General Dr. Sunanda for organizing this conclave at this scale, but also at this reach. And my name is Giuseppe Gherzi. I'm the managing partner of Gherzi Zürich. And since our foundation 1929, we have become today the leading integrated consulting company dedicated to the textile industry. And we do operate on three main pillars. The first one is engineering. We are very proud to have planned some of the most modern textile and garmenting mills in the Americas, in Europe, and also in Asia, especially in India. And we also plan warehouses and operations for leading brands such as Hugo Boss and Moncler. In addition, we are also planning some large textile integrated parks. Now, the second division is management operations. And Gherzi there is working not only with private industry, but also with several governmental institutions and governments for sector policies, capacity building, and sustainability issues. The division number 3 is merchant acquisition, and there we are helping clients to buy or sell some assets. It's actually quite surprising how much activity is going on this division now during COVID times. And when my grandfather established Gherzi India in 1960, a trip from Zürich to India was taking more than 2 weeks on the boat only. And at that time, you had 1 rupee, which was equivalent to 1 Swiss franc. I mean, much has changed since then and will continue to change. And this brings me actually to the topic of this conference, which is about transformation and change of our value chain. Transformation is a natural ongoing process. And even 2000 years ago, the Romans were saying, tempora mutantur et nos mutamur in illis, which means times are changed and we too are being changed within them. Now, if we do resist this change, we will not evolve, and this also applies to our textile industry. But let's not talk too much about the past and rather focus on the present and the future. And I have therefore prepared 3 slides to show the status quo and some of the major disruptions coming, and then the opportunities for India. And I'm pulling up now these slides. I hope you can see them. And by the way, you will be able to ask for these slides and receive them through the organizational committee. First, situation today. Our industry is still atomized and decentralized with structures of having little competition, some of these because of undercritical size, because of old system inefficiencies, and really this does not help to enhance transparency and efficiency, which is definitely part of the way forward. Second, we at Gherzi, we believe that there is overcapacity, an estimated 15% from fiber manufacturing average till garmenting, 15% of overcapacity along the entire textile added value chain. Third is the so-called, what I call silo mentality, and this is still widespread in the textile industry. And it means that I know my business very well, actually, but the business of my client, I don't really understand. And that's really dangerous, because if disruptions are coming, they will hit your client, and then most of the time, and then you will be too late if you don't see them. And then last but not least, waste. You can see at the bottom of this slide that we are that our industry is generating more than 40 million tons of textile waste every year. Okay, there is industrial waste, which part of it is recycled within the industry, but the main problem remains the post-consumer waste. Now, on a worldwide level, only approximately 30% of the more than 40 million tons of textile waste is collected, sorted, and thereafter eventually recycled. Now, the remaining 70% are still disappearing in incinerators and landfills, and this has to stop. Now, let me look at the disrupting factors. This is slide number 2, and we're looking at the disruptions coming and hitting our textile added value chain. And these disruptions are also opportunities, so treat them as opportunities and try to understand what it does mean for your operations. Let me, due to time reason, focus on 3 different disruptions. The first one is digital printing and digital finishing. And that can be quite disruptive. I visited a good 1 year ago in Italy, a printer of shirting fabric. And what I saw there was a Chinese machine, a Textil, and this Chinese machine was printing the fabric, and then with a scanner scanning the fabric which was passing through. Then it was being fixated, and in a second step it was coming back and being printed on the other side. So it was a printing of both sides of a shirting fabric. And I don't have to tell you what this means in terms of impact in weaving as well as impact in yarn dyeing. And now imagine if the same is being transformed or transferred to digital finishing, that will have a major impact. Now, the second disruption is recycling. I briefly spoke before about it, but there are 2 game-changing topics coming up. First, legislation, and there we have important block, as for example the European Union, which is introducing a political framework, the so-called Green Deal, which helps the transition from all economies to a circular one in Europe. And in fact, Gherzi at the moment is assisting also Eurotex in reformulating the strategy of the European recycling hubs. The second game changer are some new technologies coming up, and new technologies we see 2. One is in sorting. There are some new sorting technologies which are coming up, and there are some new recycling technologies coming up. Until now, we all know the mechanical recycling, which is stirring up fibers and doing a downgrading because you damage the fiber length, the fiber quality. But these recycling technologies are chemical and thermal, and they can do an upcycling of the textile waste. So all these new upcoming new technologies plus the legislation will create a new member of our textile added value chain, which is all the recycling companies. They will become part of the textile added value chain. Now, the third disruption I want to briefly touch upon is digitalization. And I think during this conference also, we will see some very interesting examples of digitalization going on. And we have some customers in Europe which are already now starting to plan the future factories, textile factories, which will operate technology-wise in the same way, but the factory concepts are different, and the utilities are being integrated more into the production process. Now, the last slide, the third slide, is about opportunities in India, and here we could talk long about, because India has so many opportunities, but I would like to touch upon 5. First of all, man-made fibers. India there has to improve the situation regarding competitive man-made fibers, but especially also the capability of finishing, of dyeing and finishing related to synthetic fiber. That's a must. Second, technical textile. This is an area of immense scope. Transforming a traditional textile company into a technical textile company takes several years, but once you have done it, it's so rewarding, and you will have a business model with very high entry barriers. The third one is apparel manufacturing, and fact is, if we like it or not, is that garmenting remains one of the strongest growth engines of our traditional industry. In the case of India, it would attract and boost some major investments along the entire textile added value chain. Circularity is a must, and India is actually ideally placed for serving this requirement, this strongly upcoming requirement from the brands and retailers, since India is fully integrated from the fiber until the garment. So you're ideally placed in order to become first choice for sustainable supply. And last but not least, governmental policies and initiatives, and I'm very happy to have seen the initiatives from the government in relation to man-made fibers, in relation to technical textile, as well as mega parks. This is definitely the right direction to go for it. And now let me close the slides and come back to you on video. And before closing my speech, I would like to touch upon COVID briefly, because COVID is impacting the textile added value chain, but I don't see it really as a disruptor. I see it more as an accelerator of many trends which were already there before COVID. And let me highlight some of these trends. One is home textiles, which are continuously growing. The second is knits, which are gaining shares versus woven. I mean, I'm sitting here in the office. I do wear a shirt, but due to home office, people are wearing more knits than wovens. The sourcing patterns are being redefined, and India can actually grab a bigger share. But this started already before COVID, when the Americans and the Europeans wanted to de-risk the sourcing from China. And now it has been accelerated, and the countries which benefited most out of it is Turkey, Pakistan, and India has a big chance. Let me now conclude. I urge you to participate with an open mind and look and identify some opportunities specifically for your individual business during this conference. I sincerely believe that the work which has been done by the Indian textile industry as well as the Indian government is really going into the right direction. And I wish this conference, which is really far-reaching, we will hear lots of opinions from America, from the Europe. I wish to this conference great success, and hope to see you soon live. Namaste.